John Harbaugh has had enough. In a sit-down interview with the Ravens' own media team, he didn't hold back and finally said what he really thinks about all the pressure surrounding his team. And let's be clear, he didn't sugarcoat a thing. He flat out called the Super Bowl or bust narrative fake, overhyped, and even dangerous. But this wasn't just some emotional rant. It was a message, a warning. When one of the most respected coaches in the NFL decides to speak up like this, it's because the pressure's reaching a boiling point. And after what he said, you can't ignore the storm building in Baltimore. Sometimes it feels like the pressure outside the building is louder than anything happening inside. And that's exactly where the Ravens are right now. A ton of people have already made up their minds. If Baltimore doesn't win it all in 2025, the season's a failure. Period. But John Harbaugh, who's led this team for over 15 years, made it crystal clear he's not buying into that label. Not even close. He ripped that narrative apart, calling it phony nonsense, and something that only gets in the way. Because in his mind, this team was never built around what the outside world thinks. It's about the work, the process, the growth. And he's absolutely right about one thing. Nobody in that locker room thinks this is going to be easy. Harbaugh admitted the players are hard on themselves, and so is the coaching staff. But everything starts with being locked in on the present. Today's practice, today's reps, the teammate next to you. When that mindset is locked in, results follow. Not because you're obsessed with trophy, but because you're committed to something bigger than just a scoreboard. The Super Bowl? Of course it's the goal. But it's not the only thing that defines what this team is building. What this really shows is how much Harbaugh trusts the guys in his locker room. He knows that winning at the highest level takes more than talent. It takes discipline, chemistry, and vision. That's why he's pushing back so hard on this Super Bowl or bust talk, because it totally ignores everything this team is doing behind the scenes. And let's be real. If that's the standard, then 31 NFL teams are failures every single year. That logic just doesn't hold up. Still, even while tearing down the outside noise, Harbaugh gets why the pressure is there, and that leads us right to the heart of this. Expectations in Baltimore have never been higher. Harbaugh's no fool. He knows exactly why the pressure's boiling over in 2025. This Ravens roster is stacked. One of the most complete teams in the league, with an MVP-caliber quarterback, a dominant defense, and years of playoff experience. No surprise everyone's looking at Baltimore like it's Super Bowl or bust. But for Harbaugh, those sky-high expectations, they can do more harm than good. His focus? Keep the team grounded and locked in on what actually wins games. Consistency and hard work. He gets why people are hyped. Baltimore's been near the top of the AFC for years. But he also made it clear, no fan benefits if this team walks into the season carrying that win or we fail pressure. That kind of weight turns into anxiety. And when guys start gripping too tight, even the best teams crack. That's why Harbaugh's top priority is protecting the locker room, reminding them that February only happens if they dominate the day-to-day grind first. And look, this is the NFL. A single mistake, a bad call, one injury at the wrong time. It can all flip the season on its head. Harbaugh knows that better than anyone. So no matter how loud the outside world gets, inside that building, the focus stays on what they can control: preparation, chemistry, toughness. The rest? That comes when it comes. And here's the thing. Even with all the noise outside, nobody puts more pressure on the Ravens than they put on themselves. Harbaugh knows it, and that's why he's so protective of the locker room. Which brings us to what he said next. On the team's official podcast, Harbaugh made one thing clear. He's not here to win headlines. He's not trying to impress analysts, fans, or reporters looking for a hot take. His focus is simple: his team, his guys, his culture. And that's exactly why he shut down the idea that the trophy is all that matters. Because when you only measure success by the final score, you ignore everything that actually builds a championship team. Harbaugh spoke about the kind of values you won't find in a box score: taking care of one another, owning the present, competing for every inch, playing with purpose. These are the things that shape champions, long before the confetti falls. And Harbaugh didn't fake optimism. He said it straight. No one knows if Baltimore will win the Super Bowl in 2025. No one. But what he can promise is that this group will show up, fight hard, and give it everything they've got. What you saw in that interview was a different side of Harbaugh, not just a coach, but the leader, a guy who understands the pressure, but refuses to let it crush his team from the inside. And with so many stars in one locker room, that kind of leadership matters more than ever. It's not just about drawing up plays. It's about protecting the mindset of your entire squad. And that's exactly what he's doing. But even with all the right messaging, the clock is ticking. The expectations are real. And for many people, this might be the last shot for this era of Ravens football.
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video. But before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
It's never felt more like now or never. The Ravens have been one of the best regular season teams in the league over the past few years. They've made deep playoff runs. They've got a 2-time MVP under center, but still no ring. And every season that goes by without one just makes the spotlight burn hotter. That is this finally their year? Question keeps getting louder inside and outside the fan base. For some, 2025 feels like Baltimore's final shot with this core. And that kind of pressure brings consequences. Some are already saying that if the Ravens don't win it all now, we could see major changes, roster shakeups, coaching changes. And yeah, even Harbaugh's future has been brought into question by a few voices, which is wild, considering everything he's built in Baltimore. But that's the harsh reality of the NFL. You can have a dominant team year after year, but if you don't win the big one, people start talking. But Harbaugh, he's not rattled. The man's seen it all. He knows how brutal this league can be. He knows the AFC is stacked with elite teams, and that no season plays out the way it does on paper. Championships aren't won in July. They're won in the grit, the grind, the moments nobody sees. And his goal is simple: build a team that can fight through every one of those moments. And here's what makes it all feel even heavier. This Ravens roster might just be the most talented group Baltimore's ever had. You can't look at this Ravens team and not think, this could be it. They're stacked on both sides of the ball. They've got stars everywhere. A coach who's been there and done that. A core that's been built brick by brick over the years. If there was ever a Ravens team built to win it all, it's this one. And maybe that's why the pressure's boiling over. Because no one wants to see this group fall short of what they're capable of. But here's the truth. That championship window doesn't stay open forever. The NFL is brutal like that. 1 or 2 missed chances, and the whole roster looks different. Contract expire. Injuries hit. Cap space dries up. And while the future might still be bright in Baltimore, this version, with Lamar, with Andrews, with Harbaugh, might not get another shot quite like this. You can feel it in the city. The fans know it. The players know it. And yeah, the media knows it too. 2025 carries real weight. Not because this team needs a Super Bowl to be respected, but because they've earned a shot at greatness. They deserve more than applause. They deserve a moment. But just like Harbaugh said, that only happens if they lock it on the now. Focus, trust, execution, every day. So let me ask you, Ravens fans, is this the year they finally silence the noise and bring it home? Or are we in for another heartbreaking almost? One way or another, all eyes are on Baltimore in 2025. John Harbaugh didn't say anything by accident. He gave voice to what a lot of players in that locker room feel, but don't always say out loud. The pressure is real, but it won't define this team. Not this year. The 2025 season won't be measured by headlines or hot takes. It'll be defined by the work they put in every single day. And with a roster this loaded, with this kind of focus, Baltimore isn't just chasing a trophy. They're chasing something bigger. But what about you? Do you think the Ravens can take all this pressure and turn it into something powerful on the field? Or is that Super Bowl or bust talk still too heavy to ignore? Let me know in the comments, because one thing's for sure, the world will be watching Baltimore this year.